My name is Georgia Baum. Today's date is January 29th, 2023, and today I will be taking you through the parts of the anesthesia machine. So before we get to the actual anesthesia machine itself, we do need to kind of go over the oxygen tank and things. We don't have one hooked up directly to our machine here because we have the big H tanks that hold a little bit more oxygen. So I'm gonna go ahead, take you over to that room, kind of go over everything here. So you'll see we have our tanks, we are on, and our pressure is at about 900 PSI, so we are good. If we were to have any type of procedure today, we would have enough oxygen. Next we have the pressure release valve that is going to go ahead and kind of reduce the pressure that we have in the tank to be a manageable pressure for our patient, so it's not exceeding anything and making the patient have too much pressure of oxygen going into their system. So oxygen tank, the pressure release valve, and then our gauge to see where the oxygen pressure is so we know how much oxygen we have left. Now that we've been through that, we can kind of go through our anesthesia machine and the parts of that. So starting off, we are going to have our flow meter here. That's going to go ahead and give us that oxygen supply that we need. You do want to make sure when you turn the ball on that it is in the middle of whatever number you choose, as that is going to be what number it actually is. So above it or below it is not the accurate representation of how much oxygen is going in. So we will go ahead, turn that off. Next, we do have our oxygen flush valve. So it's going to be this one. This is going to be used if we're going to be doing a leak check on our rebreathing system. However, it is not used in a non-rebreathing system. From there, we're going to go over to our vaporizer. So the vaporizer is where we're keeping our liquid anesthesia. And the vaporizer is going to be turning it into a gas and also mixing it with oxygen. So it's a dilute concentration of the gas as well as the anesthesia gas and the oxygen. From there, we're going to go to our fresh gas inlet, which is going to be one of these handy dandy little features. And that is actually going to take us to our inhalation valve as well, which is going to be this one right here in the very back. So the long part of your tube is going to go into the inhalation portion of that. And from the inhalation valve, we go into our breathing circuit. Now, Mr. Bones is hooked up to a rebreathing circuit at this time. But typically for a size of this patient, we would use a non-rebreathing system. We'll say 7 kilograms and under is when we would use that feature. So from our breathing circuit, we go to our exhalation valve, which is going to be this one. And on that exhalation valve, we also notice that we have our pop-off valve. Now this is going to be taking away any excess pressure that is in the patient. So if it is not fully open, more pressure is going to be building up, and that can become a serious problem for our patients. From the pop-off valve, we're going to go to our rebreathing bag or our reservoir bag, and we need to make sure that it is the appropriate size for our patients. If it is too big or too small, it can cause problems of different sorts. From the rebreathing bag, we go to our pressure manometer, and that is going to be showing us how much pressure is building up within the patient. Now, a normal is going to be between 15 and 20. If it goes any higher than that, we need to alert the veterinarian and begin trying to troubleshoot that. One of the first things to check is going to be that pop-off valve to make sure it is open. From there, we go to our CO2 absorber or our soda lime canister right here. So that is going to be absorbing all of that toxic carbon dioxide that is being expelled by our patients. From there, something else that is going to be saving us is the scavenger system. So that is taking those waste anesthetic gases and expelling them from our building. Now, with that being said, we are going to go ahead and do a leak test on our rebreathing system. So first thing we'll do is take that off Mr. Bones. We'll take the mask off. We're going to go ahead, close our pop-off valve, and we are going to occlude the end of our rebreathing circuit just to make sure that no air is getting in or out. So we're going to hold it as tight as we can and then push our O2 flush over here. Now, as you can see, it is kind of leaking a little bit. So now we need to check and see, is that leak in the line? Is it in the bag itself? And we're gonna try one more time with our finger all the way here and flush. So there is a leak somewhere. So whether that's in the bag or the line, we need to see. So first step I would probably say is trying another bag. That would be your easiest step. Or even just checking to make sure everything is on nice and tight. And hold once again just to see. Alrighty, so that is still not appropriate. And I just saw we do have a hole in this 1 liter bag at the very top of it. So we are going to go ahead, change that 1 liter bag out, put this to the side so we can let people know that it is a leaky bag. We are getting a 2 liter bag now, so it's a little bit large for this rebreathing system as we're using a tinier one, but it should satisfy our purposes for today. So we're going to try this once more. And that is also leaking, so I'm going to do it how I was taught on this machine just to make sure. Alrighty, and we're going to hold for 10 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So pressure did hold steady, our bag stayed full. So just with this machine, instead of closing the pop-off valve, which is what's done in most machines, we do just press this little button here to do our leak testing. So that is just something to note, that sometimes machines can be a little bit different, but our leak test is complete on this one. For the non-rebreathing system, I don't have a non-rebreathing circuit at this time. I will have access to one on the 31st of January, so hopefully I can get that video to you at that point. But what we would do for that one, the non-rebreathing circuit is going to bypass our CO2 absorber, our pop-off valve, and then our manometer as well. So when we would go to do it, something also to note is we do not use our O2 flush when we are doing the leak test for the non-rebreathing circuit. We would just use our flow meter to go ahead and increase the oxygen so it's filling up the reservoir bag. With that, the pop-off valve is going to be on the actual circuit itself. So you would go ahead, close it, and then fill that reservoir bag with the oxygen via the flow meter. And then once the bag is full, count to 10. If the bag loses a lot of pressure, you know there's a leak in it somewhere or the line, so you would just want to check that out. And that concludes the anesthetic procedures and machine for today. And like I said, I will get that rebreathing circuit video to you hopefully by the 31st.